Games are a powerful medium, a medium that cannot quite be compared to by others. While games revel in their own uniqueness, tapping the full potential of any game is extraordinarily difficult since there's such a variety when it comes to their construction. At the same time, this holds game developers to a different standard. With such a variety in how to create, there are more decisions that have to be justified, and unique ideas that may seem crazy. These out-of-the-ordinary ideas are a necessity in order to push games forward. But when games have such a variety in genre, presentation, and length, executing great ideas becomes an unparalleled challenge. And even if you succeed, the game might not have universal appeal. An idea that sparks joy or impact among the creatives working on the game may not apply to general audiences, and embracing bold creative decisions makes it harder to create something that has a general appeal and resonance. It is for all of these reasons that Gris is such a remarkable accomplishment and should be a landmark in the history of game design. It's one of those games that successfully realizes the emotions that developers were exploring while still making a product that's endearing, replayable, and easily accessible. Oftentimes it can be hard to make a game with dramatic themes, especially themes of depression or anxiety, because it requires you to be vulnerable to the highest degree. If you aren't vulnerable, you aren't successful. And if you're not fully vulnerable, you seem silly. And this is a big fear when it comes to tackling these themes. You cannot hide or go halfway. You have to go all in. And even then, you may not be entirely effective. Full vulnerability is not a guarantee of success, but anything less than that is a guarantee of failure. Gris is an emotionally impactful game that is oftentimes, by design, overwhelming. Gris is about the metaphysical representations of inner conflicts and the loneliness of depression told in a frame story that delves into the psyche of our unnamed protagonist. Through her interactions with the world, the player is able to better understand and experience the emotions of anxiety and depression that she is dealing with, emotions that not everyone experiences. The game is intentional in the way it emphasizes loneliness and other phases of depression, which is why they start you in this basic white field. Gris is a visually stunning game with incredible art direction, but you start here, where the game is least flashy. Why? It's simple. The gorgeous art direction is not a gimmick in order to falsely expose emotions. Rather, the art style is a variable tool that helps us connect the protagonist to the world, and by that, instill real emotion into the player. The white void is the start of her journey, the start of our journey to heal from depression, if such a thing is possible. It's empty, hopeless, and eerie. The areas you journey are ruined and crumbling. Many times the game's dynamic camera will pull out and reveal your size in the world, and it makes you feel isolated and lonely. But then this happens. And this happens. There are no words. The music, the visuals, it's simply spectacular. This sets the atmosphere and directionality for the rest of the game, one of consistent beauty, but beauty through sadness. But Gris is so much more than just innate and overwhelming beauty. The seamless world lends its way to great mechanics and level design. The levels all serve to tell a story that leads up to this colossal yet stunning set piece that serves as the so-called boss fight. Though the boss isn't actually a fight, it's more of an obstacle that the protagonist must overcome in order to cope with her depression. Leading up to these moments are expertly crafted puzzles, all tied into the visual cohesion of the world. The levels have a way of fitting into the world where you don't have to know what way you're going, but it's always the right way. That you can be certain of. The levels take advantage of everything that's there in clever ways to make the world feel coherent and real. And once the world becomes real, its emotional resonance strengthens. Gris creates this relation from us to the protagonist, from her relationship to the world. Her interactions with the world are how we as a player absorb into her. The dynamic camera will sometimes zoom far into the screen, making it somewhat eerie not knowing what's outside your view. But at the same time, the camera will often pan out, way out. And the world grows in scale. You get a minute to appreciate the beauty of the world and your woeful loneliness in it. These scenes are so simple yet so impactful, but they're also given in moderation. Enough that we feel satisfied, but in rations so they always feel special. Through all of these interactions and animations that tie the protagonist to the world, we understand her. And we feel her pain, and we feel her euphoria, all without a spoken word. And I suppose I should talk about these set-piece bosses that play a part in each chapter of the game. They always serve to overwhelm the player, to instill some sense of anxiety in the player, all before delivering a blow of pure euphoria, a moment of optimism, a moment of happiness, a moment where everything comes together and the protagonist grows and continues in her journey. The elegant animation mixed with this overwhelming music and great design all tie these moments together into something that is completely unforgettable. But there's one of these scenes that struck me more than the others. In fact, it is my absolute favorite moment from any game I have ever played. It's just so special. Of course, this is the eel chase underwater. Both these scenes are so utterly phenomenal. I could talk about them for a good few uninterrupted minutes on end. And I will. But first, if you haven't played this game, please skip forward in the video. The scene is just too special to ruin if you haven't played the game. The start of the chase takes you into this narrow horizontal tunnel. The eel will occasionally reach in to bite you, but you can quickly push away and keep going. Eventually you make your way to a split, thinking this is your chance to escape the eel if they go down the opposite tunnel. But no. When you make your decision, the eel splits in two and enters both tunnels. There is seemingly no escape. As the eels get closer, they open their mouths to expose hundreds more. This is when the tunnel gets narrowest and darkest. But eventually, you do escape. You catch a break in this dark and serene place with many gorgeous silhouettes, and you swim down a narrow tunnel, when suddenly the eel returns. You swim up, always up. The tunnel is so deep, you don't know when the top will come. It seems like it never will, and the eel gets closer. And at this last moment, you are helpless as the eel opens its mouth for the final blow. But suddenly, out of the darkness, a light emerges. A hope emerges in the form of this turtle. The music transitions from being overpowering to hopeful and relieving. You are safe. Did I mention this game was beautiful? Nothing I say can compare to what Gris tells visually. Gris is such an evocative and resonant journey that succeeds in presenting every emotion. Everything from the sound, the music, the art, the design. Gris is something that, once you play, you never forget. And for that reason, I encourage everyone out there to play the game. It's short, it's stunning, and it may change your life. It certainly changed mine. Gris is something that will always be with me, because no matter how overwhelming life gets, how much depression consumes the soul, there is, at the end of our tunnel, a shining light, and there is hope.